I finally started watching Neon Genesis Evangelion. And yeah, I know, I should have started watching it like years and years ago, but it was never on any streaming service I had access to. But it's super cool. I'm only a few episodes in, but because of watching that and the awesome robot mechs in it, I was super inspired to take a bunch of pop culture robots and draw them as people. Normally I'd do this specifically drawing them as superheroes, but I want to shake it up a little bit. Maybe I'll do some superheroes, some like knights, some athletes, whatever comes to mind when I look at the different characters. And of course I sent out a call to the fantastic artists of the PopCross community to send in their drawings of pop culture robots turned into people. So I'm going to draw a whole bunch of these, and in between my drawings, I'm going to show off a bunch of the awesome artwork that you all sent in. So without further ado, let's get into the first drawing. Alright, now the one that I started with had to be the main Eva from Neon Genesis Evangelion because it's the show that launched the whole idea for this video. And admittedly, I had a really difficult time with this one. I knew what idea I wanted to do right off the bat. I kind of pictured the Eva as like a boxer, and I don't really know exactly where that idea came from. I know the Eva's got like tons of different crazy weapons and stuff. Admittedly, I'm only about 10 episodes into the show, so I don't know a ton yet. But I just kind of, in that second episode, when it's fighting that angel and just bashing it and pummeling it, I just kind of, that got stuck in my head. So it was just like a boxer would be really cool. But I had such a hard time figuring out the pose I wanted and figuring out a good punch swing. I ended up actually pausing and filming myself doing some really slow punches to get an idea of what a realistic punch would look like, even though I Google imaged it too, but I just, seeing myself do it and doing the actual movement helped a bit. And I didn't even really end up taking the advice that I got from looking at myself doing this. I ended up just having a pose that I like how it looks, but it's not super realistic for a punch because one foot would be a lot more in front of the other than I have it. But I do like the pose that I ended up coming out with. And I made the character really tall because the Eva is pretty like lanky, long limbs, so I made the character very thin and tall. And then I also just, used the colors from the Eva, and I really like the swing that I've got. I like that I've got a lot of speed lines on it. I started using that more in that Pokemon mashup video last week where I had Beedrill and Execute, and speed lines are just super cool looking, and I felt like I used them well last time, and I think they work really well here as well. And you'll also notice that coloring, I do something a bit different than what I normally do. I kind of colored this a bit more comic book style, like just blocking off sections and lightly shading in a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. So this almost doesn't even look like something I colored. Again, all this stuff I'm learning on comic coloring and getting from Color with Kurt, which is an awesome YouTube channel, go check it out. But overall, even though this one ends up looking a little bit different from my style, I really like how it turns out. And then I throw a platform under it near the end just to add a little bit of a base to it. But let's take a look at how this one turned out. Alright, so let's go through the first set of submissions from the PopCross community, starting with the very first one that got sent in. Like seriously, Ammomation sent this in within like an hour of the call going out for submissions for this thing, and it's great. It's Bumblebee as a sort of like teenager kind of character with rollerblades, and they drew speed lines, and specifically Ammomation specified that he was inspired by the speed lines that I drew in the Pokemon episode, which I was just talking about how I liked how that turned out, and I did that too for this video. Then we've got another Bumblebee sent in from Airman Comics, and he's wearing like a Letterman jacket, he's all smiley looking, I like the cool splotchy background. This is another really fun Bumblebee. Then Arte Xiao, sorry, I'm probably saying that wrong, I apologize, sent in Eva Man, which is the main character of Neon Genesis Evangelion, turned into a sort of superhero Eva Man, and it's really cool looking. I love the robot design, looks super sick. Alright, we've got a lot more submissions, but let's go into the next of my drawings, then we'll come back to this after that. Next up, I drew Optimus Prime, and this one, it wasn't exactly one of my favorites of the batch. It's probably my least favorite of the ones I draw in this video, but I still like it, and I like the idea behind it. I just kind of pictured turning Optimus into a football player. Like he's a leader, so I was picturing a quarterback, so I thought about having him, holding the football and kind of sprinting down the field. And the idea was better than the final result, but I still think this is a fun one. I kind of go a little bit generic with what I do with his body. I pretty much just put Optimus's kind of front texture of what is actually on Optimus's chest and stomach, and just put that over the jersey, the football jersey. The helmet, I kind of add a little bit of Optimus's like spike things, like the sort of Batman-ier kind of things, which isn't really realistic for a football helmet, because that would be really dangerous if you had kind of spikes jutting out of a football helmet. That definitely wouldn't be allowed, but I thought just design-wise it looks kind of cool. I probably made the head a little bit too big. I had trouble with this one in general too. That mask in front of the mouth of the football helmet was really difficult to draw. It's just like a bunch of wires, and I wasn't really thinking about it, but it was kind of tricky. In terms of the pose, this one wasn't nearly as difficult to come up with as the last one. I just kind of like the idea of him sprinting down the field, kind of looking back behind him. I actually considered adding in like a Decepticon football player in behind him chasing him, but I was like, let's not do that for this one. Although that is a fun idea for a more fully rendered piece. But yeah, in the end, even though this isn't one of my favorites, I think it was still a fun one. And after the recording, I end up adding a little bit of a bass and background to him as well, just to spice it up a little bit more. But let's take a look at the final result. Alright, more PopCross Community submissions, and this next one comes from Utoon Art and is called Bay Maximum, and it's Baymax from Big Hero 6 turned into a superhero. And I love on this one how the pink of the background is causing a bit of pink rim lighting on the front of the character. It's really great looking. Then Max Christian Campbell sent in a cyborg character inspired by the Mechs in Pacific Rim, and this is a really cool looking one too. I love the sort of purple veins coming through the arms and the upper leg. That's really cool looking. And then we've got a super awesome mashup one from Jack of All Claws. We've got inspiration from a whole bunch of different mechs and robots. We got some Dalek in there, some Optimus Prime, we got some Mecha Godzilla. Well, you can see there's a whole bunch of different mechs and robots inspiring this one. It's really great. More to come, but let's get into the next of my drawings. Now this one I really loved. It's arguably the least creative of the batch, because I take the Gypsy Danger from Pacific Rim and kind of just turn her, like the armor of the mech, into like a tight Iron Man suit or something like that. And I mean, that was part of the problem with a bunch of these, is a lot of these characters are just humanoid, so it was really easy it would have been really easy to just make them all kind of like Iron Man, sort of just basically what they are already, but a little bit more proportioned to a normal human. So that is kind of what I did with this one, but I also just really like how this one turned out. Gypsy Danger is kind of a thinner character with a ponytail sticking out the top, and like the nice big grin that I really like drawing. It was just, this was a lot of fun, and I really like doing the visor kind of thing. Visor's probably the wrong word, the goggles. I think that's definitely the best part of this one. And I just love the color scheme of Gypsy Danger, like having the blue pretty much all over the whole thing with some subtle red, and then a little bit of yellow sparkled in, like I added it to the hair, but it's on the goggles and the sort of, it's not an arc reactor because that's what it's called in Marvel, but you know, that kind of chest circle thing. And then also, just obviously, you can probably tell, I really like the pose for this one. It's like, I was picturing kind of like Wolverine, where there was this Ultimate Comics cover where he's kind of scratching his claw along the ground as he's charging across the battlefield or whatever he's doing. He's kind of the only person in the image. But I just thought that was really cool, so I decided to have Gypsy Danger with the two swords sticking out of her arms, one of them slashing along the ground like she's about to run up to someone and slice him up. I thought it was super cool and fun. Love the expression, like the design, like the color gradient of blue. I really like this one. So let's take a look at the final result. The next two we got are both Star Wars, and I don't know why it didn't even cross my mind to do anything Star Wars related, but the first one we got is from TJ Wilson, and it's R2-D2 as a person. And I really like this one. Overall, it's a nice, simple design, but you can definitely see the R2-D2 inspiration. Like, the jacket is the right color. It's got, like, the sleeves with a bit of the color pattern in it. And I like the head and the eyes are really nice and cute. This is a really fun one. And then we've got one that I just, like, I kind of both cracked up and was like, oh, this is sick right when I saw it. This one was sent in by Lord Shadow, and it's both R2-D2 and C-3PO as a superhero, supervillain combination, and I just love that idea of R2-D2 as basically the Juggernaut. I thought that was really great. And now let's jump back into some more of my drawing. Now this next one ends up a bit different, but I still like it in the end. It just looks pretty, I don't know, to me it feels separate from a lot of the rest of the batch, and I keep wanting to call this one the Megazord? No, that's what it is. I keep wanting to call it Voltron, but it's not. It's the Megazord from Power Rangers. And this one, I've actually got this guy on my shirt right now in sort of a cool gold pattern. But I decided to do this one because I just recently started reading Dan Mora Chavez's run on Go-Go Power Rangers. I love his art. He's one of my favorite artists. So I felt like I had to do something with the Megazord, and I ended up, this one isn't so much like a superhero. I kind of did it like, not quite a medieval knight. I was thinking a little bit like Final Fantasy style-ish, although this character ends up looking way too vibrant to be Final Fantasy. But I pictured this character having like a big sort of buster sword like the Megazord has a lot of the time that it fights with. And so I kind of just pictured it in like this stoic pose. I actually roughed out a couple ideas on my iPad before I did this, and this pose isn't one of my favorites. It's a bit of a like classic style pose, but it's also, you know, it could be a little bit boring. That's okay, I still like how it looks. The main problem with this one for me ends up coming up in the coloring stage when, because the Megazord has like one yellow foot, one blue foot, it's got red, it's a lot of colors, and I don't know if I really did a good job handling that many colors on the one character. I think my favorite parts are like the upper torso. In fact, if you kind of just block out the legs, that's probably where I really like how the character looks, and the hair is kind of fun. I also end up throwing in a different background when I finish up because this background just wasn't really working for me. I kind of just hacked it in and it's not so great. Maybe I like this one less than I thought. I've been laying into it a lot. I still kind of like, I don't know. You can all tell me what you think. Here's the final result. Alright, the deadline I gave was Thursday night, and it's now 11 o'clock Thursday night, so it's probably safe to say we've got our final submissions, and our last two are super cool ones to end on. We've got one from Randoom Art and Tunes, who also drew Baymax as a person. And he drew Baymax in behind him. That's cute too. I like that he's got, like, Baymax's weird eye mouth thing on his hat. That's a fun addition. And then this is a super cool one as well. It's from I'm Still an Artist. Check out their Instagram. They've got the Instagram in the thing that's probably floating here. There's nothing floating here for me because I'm adding it in post. But anyway, this Optimus Prime is super cool looking. It's kind of like a superhero knight kind of character, something like that. Got a bit of a like hoodie sort of thing that turns into the Optimus Prime outfit. This was super cool. Thank you so much for the submission. To you and everybody. Okay, back to one more drawing from me. Now for the last one, I take a Gundam mech and turn it into a character. And admittedly, I almost scrapped this one. It doesn't turn out too bad, but it ends up actually being a good lesson in what not to do when drawing a character from, like, looking up at them from the ground, that kind of perspective. And the Gundam mech that I picked is just one that I've had for a really long time that I've never gotten to build because I spend all my free time working on PopCross Studios. But anyway, what I was saying about drawing a character from the ground and looking up at them, there are a few things in this one that I mess up. I don't do all of it wrong. I kind of like how this turns out in parts. You'll notice at one part I just keep zooming in and out on the eyes and I messed them up a whole bunch because I hadn't drawn a head from looking at it from that far below in a while, and I was seriously out of practice with that. But also, one of the things to focus on with this, in terms of if you want to draw a character from a lower perspective, is that the feet should be on almost the exact same level, because if you're looking at them from pretty much the ground, the feet are right at the flat plane that your eye level is at. And I kind of did that, but the right foot is a little bit too close to us, I think. I think it should have been pushed back a little bit more, because I don't have us quite lying like straight flat on the ground. We're like a little bit above the ground and looking up at the character. But then the other thing you'll notice is that one of the knees, the left knee, is too high. They should also be on a very similar level, and the left one I just put a notch too high, so it's a little bit wonky, and that's something that you might not even really notice until I point it out, but it's something that your brain just kind of knows is a little bit off when you look at something like this. Besides that, I like the general design of the character. Like, I think the Gundam mech translated really well into a sort of bomber jacket style design. Like, this guy looks kind of like an anime pilot anyway, and I'm pretty sure Gundam is another show that I haven't gotten around to yet, but the Gundam mechs have pilots flying them, right? So I don't, just to make sure that I was doing something a little bit original, I didn't look at what the Gundam pilots actually look like, so maybe they actually look kind of like this, but hopefully not, because this one was a fun design, but again, there are those issues with what I did wrong looking at a character from the ground up. So anyway, let's take a final look at our last drawing in this batch of robos and mechs as people. Alright, I'm actually adding in 2 last-minute additions, both drawings sent in from Roar Drawings. Rory sent us 2 awesome images. One of them is Wally and Eve as people, and this is great. I love the expression on Wally, the sort of concerned look, because when I think of Wally, that's what I picture, and Eve looks super intimidating. I really like the laser eyes and the pointy hand things. That's super cool. And then also a drawing of Weebo, who's a flying yellow robot from Flubber. I've seen that movie like a long time ago. I don't remember this character, but I really like the drawing. The colors are great. I like the ponytail. The mask is cool. Awesome stuff. Thank you very much for your submissions. Also, Roar Drawings drew these on his YouTube channel, so if you want to see them being made, you can go check them out. I'll link them somewhere, probably in the description. But that is where we come to the climax of this episode. My drawings were a bit of a mixed bag. I like some, I don't like others. I really like the Pacific Rim one, but you know, sometimes when you're experimenting, you don't always get gold, but it's still important to experiment. So that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted. I've definitely got to do more episodes like this in the future. It just means I have to know a little bit farther in advance what my episode's gonna be. And of course, we're still on for this month's PopCross Community redraw, the theme of which is Spider Sonas. So if you've got yours, send it to the Characters for Pop channel in the Discord, linked below, or to popcrossanimations@gmail.com. We've got a lot of really cool submissions already. I think this is going to be a really great community redraw. Alright everybody, I'm Christian Pearson, this is PopCross Studios, home of the nerdiest art videos on YouTube, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.